Hello everyone, and welcome back at today's analysis. For now, at the 154th episode, we are going to discuss about Simon Carver, the main antagonist of the 2020 video game Little Hope, the second installment in the Dark Pictures Anthologies. A diabolical, evil reverent of the Puritan Little Hope in the 1600s, who persecuted innocent people of witchcraft while he himself practiced this thing. Simon Carver, in my opinion, is a perfect example of another religious authority who abuses their power for their own sadistic pleasure, as people like him sadly were a reality centuries ago. And in this episode, we're going to discuss all that we know about him throughout the game, as well as his novelization, to better understand Simon Carver and how and why he became this way. And now, let's begin. Much about Simon Carver's past is largely unknown. All that we know about him is the fact that he was born in the colony of Little Hope, circa around 1650. He had a wife named Madeline that he did love and care about, and he became the reverend of the town in 1688. And for a while, his life was actually good and normal, and the community was happy. However, by 1690, his entire happiness was shattered when a group of French soldiers, as well as Indians, attacked the settlement and killed many people and took them into slavery, with his wife, Madeline, being unfortunately one of the victims. And this event alone has completely shattered Simon and destroyed pretty much his faith in the town, in God, and in everything. And so he began to practice all the occult and dark magic, hoping that he could find and use the dark forces to bring back his wife. And by 1692, while Salem had its own witch trials, he decided to contact some of his own. And so he began to use his power and authority, persecuting innocent people of witchcraft, hoping that he could somehow use their souls for the devil to bring back his wife. And of course, there is a little girl, the town's orphan, Mary, who eventually found out about his secret. And, and so he began to silence her, to abuse her, and to officially keep her under his wing, hoping that she will not talk, as well as using her as a tool to accuse others of witchcraft in order to cover up his crimes. And he eventually began targeting people, including a woman named Amy, who accused her of witchcraft and had her drowned, or Mary's older sister Tabitha and her burned, or Mary's older brother David and had him impaled, or eventually Amy's husband Joseph and had him crushed to death through stones. All of this to cover up his own crimes in practicing witchcraft, to use their souls to somehow through dark magic to bring back his wife and to scare and silence Mary. But eventually, as Mary ended up into the care of another man known as Abraham, and he decided to blame her for witchcraft and use her as a scapegoat for his crimes, and had her to be executed to finally cover up on his actions. And before we continue, we not need to stop and ask, is Carver evil? And the reason I ask this is because while it's an undeniable fact that Carver is a horrible person, it should be noted here that he is a tragic villain. He had a wife that he cared about and loved, and her death is what truly broke him, causing him to become this way, as well as the fact that he growing up into the Puritan Little Hope ultimately led to him, well, at having this kind of mindset, as well as the fact that unfortunately witchcraft and accusations and executions were pretty much tragically normal at that time. However, none of these justify the crimes he committed, as many people, even during his time, were horrified by him and his crimes, as well as the fact that he has little to no remorse whatsoever and has no problems in persecuting innocent people that also suffer from that massacre as much as he did. And into the ending when he was caught and Mary escaped, he, instead of acknowledging his crimes or showing remorse, he decided to not to do so, and even called Mary numerous names and accusing her of many things, despite the fact that it's him who committed all these crimes. And in my personal opinion, this proved to me that the Carver is nothing short of a pure evil monster, with very little to no redeeming qualities left in him. The answer in the end is yes, Carver is evil, and he's pretty much pure evil. And now the game split into endings. The ending where Mary is getting accused and she is eventually executed and he gets away with everything, or Abraham fully exposes him and reveals the fact that he's into the occult. And as I said, he refuses to acknowledge his crimes and calls Mary various names and accuses her and so on, and he gets taken away. Now, his fate is completely unknown to me. Nobody very likely will never know when he died, where, how, we might never know. But all that we know is the fact that his crimes will have long-term repercussions here, as by 2020, as more than 300 years from his time, the ghosts of his victims arrived to try to kill the protagonists. Four college students, Andrew, Angela, Taylor, and Daniel, and their professor, John, to do the fact that they are the victims' reincarnations. But thankfully, all of these things have proved in the end to be Anthony Clark's imagination. So in the end, chronologically and imaginary speaking, who was Simon Carver? He was nothing more but a corrupt official who went through a massive loss in his life, and a loss that cruelly shattered him, his sanity, and even his sense of morality. A man that ultimately came to abuse his position and power and would pretty much do anything in order to bring back the loved one at the expense of others. A man that has become a monster of his own making, and ironically the same kind of monster that he accuses others to be. And a man that could easily be called as one of the most realistic and most evil villains ever made into the video game industry. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give like and subscribe, and have a nice day.
Fool! Misled by a child! Do you not see what she is? The truth stares at you from the depths of hell, yet you see nothing! The devil's daughter has deceived you all! Not me! I see her! I see her! Satan's whore! You will pay heavily for your crimes. I was one of the first to fall under your spell. Now all of Little Hope is mesmerized by you.